right. Justin Gaethje has said that he will quit the UFC if certain things happen. And I'm going to comment on that story because I think he might be slightly underthinking this statement and his reasoning for, I would quit if this or that. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit because it has to do with Conor McGregor, has to do with his perceived treatment in the UFC. And I love Justin Gaethje. If you're a UFC fan and if you're an MMA, if you're a combat sports fan and you don't love Justin Gaethje, there's something wrong with you. It's like if you reached into the soul of what this sport is and you pulled it out, you'd be holding Justin Gaethje, right? But that doesn't mean that every single one of his takes is right on point. And this is one of those ones where it's like, dude, I just feel like I should point out a couple things to you before you go all in on I would quit the UFC. I just want to point one or two things out, and then you tell me if you still feel that way, right? So we're going to talk about that. Now, before I do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. That's the deal we make, right? That's what it costs. If you want to watch my content, subscribe to the channel. It's free, right? Just because something's free doesn't mean it doesn't have a cost. So we're on a gentleman's agreement that, like, if you're going to watch my content, you just subscribe, you click the bell, or, well, you don't have to click the bell, but you can if you want. Then you'll know when I upload. And then tell your friends, whatever, I've grown the channel to 107,000 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. Somehow my views are exactly the same every single month for the last 2 years. Really bizarre. It's almost like, the powers that be have been like, this is how much reach we're going to give him. I don't know, but I am extremely grateful to you guys. Thank you very much. Comment on the video and then like this video, especially if you think I made a really good point, which I'm about to. I'm going to make a good point, right? All right, so here we go. So Justin Gaethje has said the following, all right? I'm going to quote him so that there are no misconceptions or misunderstandings because this is exactly what he said. He said, would I quit if Conor McGregor won and they gave him a title shot? Probably. That's how hurt I would be by the actions of the company that I represent. But that's out of my control. I just really hope that doesn't happen. We can imagine a lot of things, but there's a possibility that that's the scenario, which I would be devastated for sure. Okay, so here is the angle I'm going to take on this, right? So what did he say? He said that if Conor wins and then gets a title shot, that he might quit the sport because he would be so not for, the thing is, like, he put his heart out there where he's like, it's because I would be so hurt. Like, I would be devastated by the company that I represent doing that, as if they're doing it to him, right? Like, that's the implication, right? It's like they give him a title shot over me. I'm devastated. That's wrong, right? Now, he didn't even directly say that it's, that he'd be devastated that they did it. But that's the implication, right? And listen, Justin Gaethje is the most exciting fighter in the UFC. So he has a claim to fame here, or a claim on anything where he's like, dude, if anybody deserves XYZ, it's me. All right, so there's that. But there are 2 points that I want to make, all right? Point number one. Well, I take it back. 3 points. One, Gaethje hates Conor, okay? Gaethje hates Conor, right? So there's that. Like, they have a genuine rivalry. The two guys do not like each other. So anything that happens, good for Conor. If Gaethje feels like he's being slighted, he is going to, of course, take that personally. So that's point number one, even though that's obviously not the case. And when people feel like they're getting slighted as soon as they meet with it's like the UFC can only give one person a title shot at a time, right? And every fight, look, fighters are crazy. That's why they're fighters. Like, and believe me, I'm not putting myself outside of that characterization. I'm totally crazy. But these guys are crazy. Of course, they're like, it should be me. They always that, right? But I think the last point I'm going to make is going to be the one that really kind of drives a stake through this entire argument, okay? Point number two is that Gaethje has been given 2 title shots, right? He fought Khabib. Khabib's last fight was against Justin Gaethje. Came up short, fine, right? Gave it a great fight. I don't think that Khabib was going to take a lot more of those leg kicks, man. I don't think a lot of people can eat obviously, no one can eat. There's a threshold of Gaethje leg kicks that anyone can go over that they're not going to be able to walk. End of story. He put up a good fight. It didn't go his way. It is what it is. He fought Charles Oliveira for the title a year ago, right? He was given another title shot because he's a stud and he's very marketable. And he is one of the guys the UFC would love to have be the UFC champion. But they can't, if you don't win, you know what I mean? The UFC can only put you in place to win. That's all they can do, right? That's why I respect the UFCs, because that's all they can do is to give guys favorable matchups and then put them in there. With Gaethje, his matchups are always, how exciting will this fight be? But the main point that I want to make, the one that just should just go zip to this entire argument, is very, very simple. Very simple. And this is that. Justin Gaethje, if you were the champion, would you want Conor to have a title shot then? Of course. He would be your number one choice, right? If you were the champion, Conor won a fight, of course he'd be the number one person you'd want to fight because he's going to make the most money for you, all right? And so when you have a situation like that, think about it like this. Like, you're taking it personal. Like, this quote is someone taking it personal, where they're like, they do this to me, I'd be devastated. The company I represent would do that. I understand. But the thing is this, dude. There are a handful of people who decide who gets the next title shot, and I can count them on one hand. Dana, Shelby, Maynard, Hunter Campbell, and, wait for it, the person who has the belt. Okay? Now, what are all 5 of their motivations? Money, 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 and money. Look at that. And so if the title shot goes to any other person behind Conor, they're going to make less money, less money, less money, less money, less money by a mile. And so every single person in a decision point, or in a point to drive the decision, they all want the same thing. And Conor is that thing. It's not personal against you or any other fight. This is not what it is. It's not that. The UFC is a well-dressed sport. It's like, I feel like I've been talking about this a lot lately. And I'm having Bilal Muhammad on the channel tomorrow, and we'll talk about that more with Bilal Muhammad because he's in a similar situation. But it's like the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, they all have structures. You're in a league, throughout the league play, you get to find out who's got yada yada, and then you make the playoffs, and then if you win your playoff game, then you make it to the next playoff game. If you win that playoff game, you go to the next playoff game, and then if you make, then you get to fight for the title, or you get to play for the title. It is a structure that is simple to understand. Your record determines if you go into the playoffs and so on and so forth. UFC makes it seem like that is what it is, but it's a facade to dress up the fact that this is still prize fighting. That's all the belt is it's a way to make it seem like there is some functional hierarchy that drives who gets title shots. And that is only true to the point where it has merit. Okay? Like if they literally were just like, all right, Nate Diaz is getting a title shot at 185 because they thought they'd sell a bunch of pay-per-views, that would delegitimize the entire title picture thing completely. They can't push it that far. They can only push it so far. Right? But at the end of the day, the criteria is not wins and losses. It's not just your streak. It's not just that. It is a matrix of your winning streak and how marketable you are and who the person who has the belt wants to fight. Okay? Like you had Yoel Romero, who had lost a couple, but they were very, very close fights, and everybody was still terrified of him, and Izzy was like, give me that guy. And they're like, all right. We could sell that fight. And Izzy wants him. Cool. Izzy's the driving force anyway. We'll give him to him. There isn't really like a great contender anyway. It's like, and in this case with Conor, of course everybody wants it to be Conor. It's not personal. And the main point I'm making is that if you were the champion, you would want it to be Conor. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because you would make the most money and you hate him. So bottom line, listen, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he wouldn't want it to be Conor, but I'm pretty sure he would want it to be Conor. If Conor went out and starched Chandler and Gaethje had the belt, he would want to fight Conor. Of course. You're talking about life-changing, generational money. If you have a piece of the back end and you're fighting Conor, it's just a different deal, dude. So that is my response to Justin Gaethje saying he's going to quit mixed martial arts in the event that Conor gets a title shot. The main point being, you would be demanding he gets a title shot if you had the belt. I love you, Justin Gaethje. I love Justin Gaethje. I love Justin Gaethje. And if you don't, I would have to question whether or not you're a true MMA fan. Justin Gaethje is like a national treasure or an international treasure when it comes to mixed martial arts. He's like Cowboy, dude. You know what I mean? It's like if he makes the Hall of Fame and someone's writing an article, oh my God, Justin Gaethje in the Hall of Fame. Are you kidding me? You'd be like, really? These journalists, man. These journalists. But yeah, so that's what it is. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Peace, peace, peace.